Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be talking about a winter storm that's going to be making its way from the south central United States up into the upper Midwest and then through into the northeastern United States over the next 2 days. Now, before I get started with this video though, I would ask that you do subscribe if you do like weather-related content, and also make sure to share this video with your friends and family if they live in the impacted regions. Let's get right into things. First things first, we're looking at our warnings, watches, and advisories. All of those purplish blue colors you see is winter weather advisories, but we do see those oranges up there for the Dakotas and Minnesota. It's not very associated with our system, but we do have blizzard warnings up there, not for a lot of snowfall, but because of how windy it's going to be as we see some brief snowfall. That's going to lead to blizzard conditions for North Dakota, South Dakota, and Minnesota. Now let's move on to our simulated radar. We're going to be looking at our RGEM model, which is my all-time favorite model. It is the most accurate model out there, especially among the short-range models, which is the more high-resolution ones. But this is our short-range Canadian model, and we can see that this is going to be pretty much around now. This is the first hour of this model run, and we are seeing some snowfall there for Kansas, northern Oklahoma, and a bit of Missouri. It's heading upwards up into Kansas City, Missouri, and that's going to be coming in the next few hours in through this afternoon. It might actually be snowing there already. Now, let's move on one more frame, and you can see this is going to be by, well, probably, yeah, around now or in a couple of hours. And we see Kansas City is getting involved, as well as more of northern and central Missouri there. All of eastern Kansas is taken over by moderate snowfall by this point. Now, we're about to move on. We're going to take an extended look up at the upper Midwest and still the central United States, where we're going to start to see that heavy to moderate snow make its way into Iowa and Illinois as we move on. Now, at this point, again, we're taking a more zoomed out look up here at the upper Midwest, as well as some of our central United States that we were already looking at. And this is going to be by later this evening. I would say this is probably going to be by 6 or 7 p.m. on Wednesday, February 12th. And we do see that snow going on for the Dakotas and Minnesota. You see that light to moderate snow. That's going to give us actually our blizzard warnings just because of how much wind is located in those regions. We're also seeing some snowfall up there for the upper peninsula of Michigan, as well as northern Wisconsin as well. But our main system down below, we can see eastern Kansas starting to taper off by this point, but northern Missouri, we're still seeing some moderate to heavy snow, as well as southeastern Iowa, and then the central and northern regions of Illinois by this point. In the darker blues, obviously, that's where we're experiencing the more moderate to heavy snowfall that this system will bring. A general 3 to 6 inches of widespread snow is going to be possible for most areas throughout this storm. Let's move on another frame, and this is going to be a little bit later. This is going to be maybe closer to, I would say probably closer to about 8 or 9 p.m. By this point, probably closer to 8, and this is going to be mostly Iowa, Missouri, and then Illinois by this point getting really involved. Even heavier snow showing up there for central Illinois. And we can see that snow from up above that was coming down is kind of mixing in with our system here, really enhancing it. And that's probably what's leading to a lot of the heavier snowfall that we weren't seeing a second ago. Indiana starting to get involved, as well as the lower peninsula of Michigan. And we also see Ohio getting a little bit of snowfall by this point. Now we're about to move on where northern Ohio is going to get a lot more snow, as well as areas in Indiana and the lower peninsula of Michigan, as we see our system actually begin to strengthen as we head in towards the nighttime tonight into February 13th. And as you can see by this frame, there is snow all over the place. Central Missouri still getting a lot of snow, as well as Iowa, Wisconsin, the upper peninsula of Michigan. And then we see the lower peninsula of Michigan, especially along that western coast. We're getting some lake effect enhanced snowfall. Same story down there for northern Indiana and the very southern southwestern regions of the lower peninsula of Michigan. But we're seeing Illinois in through northern Indiana and through northern Ohio, and maybe even the very western regions of Pennsylvania getting moderate to heavy snowfall by this point. Again, that could lead to 3 to 6 inches of snow, and I'm expecting scattered 6 inches plus amounts to be expected throughout. But in our lake effect expected regions, that's where we're especially expecting 6 to 10 inches of snow. So I'm thinking upstate New York, especially in through the Finger Lakes regions. We'll move on to that in just a second. As we move on a frame, we are going to start to see those areas get involved here. This is going to be by, I would say, about 11 p.m. tonight, Wednesday, February 12th, and we're going to be heading in towards February 13th. We see snowfall still, again, for Wisconsin, Michigan, Illinois, Missouri still involved by this point, maybe even creeping down south into St. Louis by this point. Iowa, you're still getting snow showers by this point, but it's mainly an Ohio, Pennsylvania, and New York system by this point. We see that cold air coming in behind this. If you watched yesterday's video, you know that cold air is coming. Very, very potent cold air, especially for the upper Midwest there. Now, we're about to move on a frame where we're going to start to see New England get more involved, but still the upper Midwest is going to be receiving snowfall. All right, and this is going to be by about 2 a.m. on Thursday, February 13th, which is going to be tomorrow from the time I'm making this video. We see Wisconsin, Michigan, Illinois, Iowa, Missouri still getting snowfall, but again, mostly northern Ohio, northern Pennsylvania, and then upstate New York. Now, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Vermont, and New Hampshire getting involved as well with that heavier snowfall by this point. Let's move on another frame, and this is going to be a little bit further in. I would say maybe 4 a.m. here by this point. Again, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and Michigan still involved by this point, but the upstate New York regions getting more and more involved, as well as New England. We can see that rain snow line on the very eastern side of this storm is moving further north and further north. We've seen this throughout the winter, and it's the same story with this storm. But really, the Finger Lakes up through the Adirondacks going to be getting snowfall throughout this storm, as well as the the Great Lakes regions there within New York. So areas like Buffalo, Watertown, Rochester, we're all going to stay snow the entire storm, as well as Erie, Pennsylvania, and Cleveland hasn't switched over to rain, so we're going to see an all-snow event for you guys. We're seeing heavy snowfall there for southern Massachusetts, but again, we're going to continue to see that rain snow line move further north, and further north. Let's move on another frame, and this is maybe going to be by about 8 a.m., and again, Cleveland's still getting moderate snowfall, as well as some of the upper Midwest, but upstate New York, and now the northern half of Massachusetts, and then Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine getting snowfall. But Boston, we've switched over to rain after receiving maybe 1 to 3 inches of snow there. It's going to switch over to rain for a little bit of time. Let's move on once more, and this is going to be by about 12 p.m. on February 13th, Thursday. And the snow is lightening up as our low pressure system is racing out to sea, and we're getting less and less moisture with this storm. So maybe light snow there for Michigan, a bit of Ohio and Indiana getting snow showers, mostly lake effect enhanced snowfall there. Pennsylvania, New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine, we're still seeing some pretty organized amounts of snow. But as we move on towards, I would say this is probably about 6 or 7 p.m., it's light snow at best here, mostly lake effect snow. And then as we head towards maybe 10 p.m. on Thursday, February 13th here, again, lake effect snow heading into New York, Pennsylvania, areas like that, as well as Michigan and Indiana. That's going to be included in my snowfall forecast at the end of this video. And then here on our last frame, you can see that's weakening by time we're at about 4 a.m. on Friday, February 14th. Now we're about to move on to our modeled snowfall forecast and then our official snowfall forecast for this winter storm. Now anywhere from the blues kind of towards those light gray colors, that's where we're going to be looking at a dusting to 3 inches of snow. It's as we head into those purple colors, that's where we get to 3 to 6 inches of snow. And then you see those scattered or splattered on pink colors. It almost looks like somebody was splattering on finger paint there. That's where we're expecting 6 to 12 inches of snow, mostly probably 6 to 10 inches of snow, under 10 inches I would expect, but mainly the, again, lake effect regions there in New York going to be expecting the best chance to get over 10 inches of snow, maybe even Erie, Pennsylvania as well. And maybe areas in Ohio just to the east of Cleveland there. Let's move on to our official snowfall forecast though. And this white region is where we're going to be expecting a dusting to 3 inches of snow. We see Kansas City, we see St. Louis, Chicago, Detroit, Cleveland, Rochester, Buffalo, Albany, all in this. We see Boston in that as well. Let's move on to our 3 to 6 inch regions, and you can see Kansas City, you're right on the line. St. Louis, you're right on the line. But we do see Chicago and Detroit in this, as well as Cleveland, Rochester, Buffalo once again, as well as Albany. Let's move on to our 6 to 10 inch regions, though. And we can see a little bit there for the upper peninsula of Michigan, as well as a little bit of Wisconsin. Then we see those areas that are expecting lake effect snow within, again, Michigan and Indiana. And then Also, Cleveland up through Buffalo and Watertown, as well as Rochester, they're all expecting to get lake effect snow and heavier snow throughout the entire storm within this storm, and that's why I'm expecting 6 to 10 inches of snow within those regions. And then we also see the southern Green Mountains through the Berkshires there for Vermont and Massachusetts, expecting a little bit of 6 to 10 inch amounts, I believe. Now, last but not least, we have our 10 to 15 inch amounts, and that's going to be for upstate New York and maybe again through Erie, Pennsylvania. So we see Buffalo and Watertown within that. And again, that's all going to be because of that lake effect enhanced snowfall throughout the storm and then lake effect snow afterwards, which is going to lead to much more snowfall than the surrounding regions. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, be sure to share it with your friends and family, and I'll see you guys in the next video.